Today, we're diving into the world of Warren Buffett's forever stocks. We're going to explore 3 stocks currently trading below their 52-week highs, making them appealing picks for value investors. Let's get started. Thanks for joining me today, Chris. We're here to discuss 3 Warren Buffett stocks that are moving into the buy zone. Those are Kraft Heinz, Coca-Cola, and CapitalOne. So everyone watching, you're going to want to stick around as we're going to provide insights on each of these stocks. So let's jump right in. So Warren Buffett didn't build his portfolio through a rags to riches story of picking a lucky penny stock. His strategy more so involves buying and holding stocks for the long term. I don't even know where to start on this, Chris. Maybe we should make Thomas proud and start with Kraft Heinz. That guy just loves that stock.
Yeah.
But fill me in here if you would. In your recent article for MarketBeat, you had mentioned that Kraft is in the middle of an aggressive turnaround. So what indicators suggest that it might be moving in the right direction?
Okay, so thanks. First of all, Lacey, thanks for having me on. So Kraft Heinz, the story here is price versus value. And in this case, there's been some concern among investors that they're not getting the value for the price they're paying for the stock, which the price isn't necessarily that high. The stock doesn't look to be extremely overvalued, but the stock has been trading sideways for about 2 years, and investors are starting to get a little bit frustrated about that. The company recently beat analyst estimates for revenue and for earnings, and that's good. However, some people are commenting that that was due to consumers paying higher prices for the goods that they bought, not that they were buying more goods. So, and that's kind of a story you see playing out in some of the consumer areas where you're seeing not higher volumes, but you're seeing they're paying more for the items they're paying for. That's due to inflation. So there's also concern that the company is not paying down their debt quite quickly enough, which is holding back earnings. And even Warren Buffett has commented that he may have overpaid for Kraft Heinz, even though he helped engineer the merger between the two companies. Having said that, I'm always more interested in what investors do more than what investors say. And in this case, Warren Buffett has not shown any inclination to decrease his stake in Kraft Heinz, certainly not to dissolve it. So he seems to be a firm hold on the stock, believing that there's better days ahead. I think that where the stock is settling in right now, it's an attractive point for investors to consider the stock.
All right, so now let's talk about one of the most iconic Buffett stocks, Coca-Cola, of course. So I was looking around on MarketBeat this morning, checking out the stock profile for this, and I noticed that the stock is down 11% year to date as we're recording, which I'd like you to touch on. But this is a true dividend king. I mean, they have raised its dividend for 62 consecutive years, so clearly it's rewarding investors. But what else do you see when you look at this stock?
You know, I think you've pretty much nailed it, Lacey. There's just not a lot not to like about Coca-Cola. You know, it's one of those stocks that you always say, when in doubt, zoom out. And if you just look at the stock over the years, the trend is up. And I know some investors hate to hear that. I know a lot of traders hate to hear that. But when you're thinking about buying into Warren Buffett stocks, blue chip stocks, you're not looking for the stocks that are the moonshots. You're looking at the steady eddies, the reliables, the ones that you say, the stock is here, and in 5 years, I expect it to be here, and in 10 years, I expect it to be here. That's what you're getting with Coca-Cola. To me, the stock's trading on 23 times earnings. That could be considered a little high, but not overly concerning. It's a stock that deserves a premium valuation because it's a premium brand. So I think if you're an investor, you look at a 10 to 12% pullback on the stock. That's a buying opportunity, especially with a dividend that's as reliable as Coca-Cola's.
When in doubt, zoom out. I like that, Chris. I'll be keeping that in mind. So then there's CapitalOne. Chris, this is kind of a difficult time to invest in financial stocks, isn't it? But even with that being the case, investors are, and with investors that were fleeing the bank stocks earlier this year, Buffett was still buying shares despite all of that. So I mean, as we know, interest rates are at a 40-year high. So CapitalOne earnings are while there are being down year over year, that doesn't really come as a shock. So what can we look at for investors? What are we looking ahead to?
Yeah, so you're again, Lacey, you nailed it.
I tried. I'm learning
there's
from you guys.
there's a clear trend you see in the company's earnings reports. As interest rates went higher, the company was missing on earnings, and they weren't just missing on earnings by a little bit, they were missing on it by a pretty hefty margin. And that was the case for about 4 consecutive quarters. They reversed that a little bit in the last quarter. Here's another example of, don't listen to necessarily what investors are saying, look at what they're doing. And I'll be honest, before I really wrote my article, I wasn't familiar with CapitalOne as a Warren Buffett stock. And there's a reason for that. He didn't actually initiate his position until the first part of 2023. So right when bank stocks were getting whacked at their hardest, that's when he decided to initiate a position in CapitalOne. And he did that at the same time that he upped his stake in Bank of America. And then in the second quarter, he increased his stake in CapitalOne. So again, I think this is a situation where that tells me Buffett believes that the company has a good balance sheet. It trades at about 8 times earnings. It pays a good dividend. And all those things you start checking off the boxes of, yeah, that's why Warren Buffett buys stocks, because they fundamentally sound, they pay a strong dividend, and he expects to see earnings growth. Obviously, there's some risks in this sector, potential charge-offs as consumers may default on their credit card payments. But I believe Buffett's signaling that he believes CapitalOne has the type of balance sheet that can weather that. Stocks looks very intriguing to me.
Good to know. All right. So these are just 3, though, out of several Buffett stocks. So if investors wanted to expand their search beyond these stocks that we're covering today, do you have any tips on how they can do that, or maybe what they should look for?
Sure. Well, one thing I mentioned was that, these are blue chip stocks, and they're going to be appealing to investors who are more inclined to buy and hold stocks. Warren Buffett has said his favorite time frame for owning a stock is forever. So these are stocks that are going to grow slowly over time. And if you're looking to do that, Warren Buffett stocks are a great place to look. And MarketBeat has a really great tool, because if you're on MarketBeat, there is a dedicated section just for Warren Buffett stocks. So you can click that link, you can get a list of all the stocks that are currently in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. You can go through it, you can screen it for the characteristics that matter most to you as an investor. And you can do that for a lot of other stocks. I mean, there's just, I keep on talking about MarketBeat and the tools as we're on this channel, Lacey, because I think the deeper an investor goes into their investor journey, I think the more that they'll appreciate the value that they're getting with MarketBeat, and the way that they can look at the variables of a stock that matter the most to them. When you're looking at blue chips right now, I'm looking at price to earnings ratio. I'm looking at earnings growth, because over time, there's been no greater predictor of stock price growth than earnings growth. And again, MarketBeat's got a great tool, great opportunity for you to go in there, see how these stocks are performing, not only now, but how they've been performing over time. And that's where I would just tell investors to look and start their research.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Well, we hope our viewers enjoyed our analysis into these Warren Buffett's timeless stocks, investment strategy, all of the above. And we hope that you uncovered opportunities even in today's turbulent market. But before you go, please hit the like button if you found this video informative. Subscribe to our channel if you want more valuable insights into the world of investing. Like Chris mentioned, I'll have some links for you down below so you can continue your research. We're here to help. Learn with me. Chris and Thomas are teaching me all about the stock market, and it's been a fun journey. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you think about these stocks. If you want us to discuss others, we appreciate your feedback. Thanks again, Chris. We'll see you next time.